Let we start the session MCQs for LDCE. First question. Who is known as the father of computer? That is option B, Charles Babbage. Which component is considered the brain of the computer? That is option C, CPU. What does CPU stands for? That is option B, Central Processing Unit. Which of the following is the input device? That is option C, keyboard. Which of the following is an output device? That is option D, monitor. The printed output from a computer is called, that is option B, hard copy. Which which part of computer holds the RAM and CPU? That is option B, motherboard. What is the full form of RAM? That is option B, random access memory. RAM is which type of memory? That is option B, volatile memory. What is the full form of ROM? That is random access memory. Option read only memory, that is option A. Which memory loses data when the power is turned off? That is option C, ROM. 1 byte is equal to how many bits? That is option B, 8 bits. How many kilobytes makes 1 byte? That is option B, 1024. Which is the smallest unit of data in computer? That is option A, bit. What does SSD stands for? That is option A, solid state drive. Which of this is a magnetic storage? That is option C, hard disk drive. The speed of the modern CPU is usually measured in, that is option B, gigahertz. What is the function of UPS? That is option C, to provide uninterrupted power supply. Thank you for watching. For more questions and MCQs, follow my channel. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.